Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the USA Library's Art Gallery's Art Talk. This week's artist is Chasely Matmanivong. Okay, Chasely, you'll have to help me here.
It's Matmanivong.
Matmanivong. And she has joined us today to tell us more about herself and her art. Chasely, thank you much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Okay, well, we did open this up, but nobody has registered. But that's okay, not the end of the world. We have a list of wonderful questions we're going to ask you, and this presentation will be put onto YouTube afterward, so that people would like to view and learn more about you. They can certainly check in with us later. And in addition, we have Emma, and Emma might have a few questions she wants to ask you as well.
Okay.
So, just think of some, Emma. It's all good. But we will have a nice little conversation, just the three of us, which will work out just fine. So, okay, the first question that I have is, what is your background?
So my name's obviously Chasely Matmanivong. I was born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama. Lived there my whole life up until now, which now I'm in Keller, Texas. But I graduated from Judson College, just like you, Miss Webb, just recently this summer in June, with a double major in art, with an emphasis in studio art and painting and English.
Okay. Why did you choose those topics?
What? I'm sorry.
Why did you choose those topics? Why did you choose to focus on those areas?
I came in as a double in art and biology with a whole plan to travel and help with like endangered species and like do art for endangered species. And then I got to Judson, and if you have ever had or seen Mr. Wilson, you know how tough he can be. So after my first year, which I did make it through the first year, I was decided to change to English, which I love to write. So I kept with the painting and the art because that was my passion. That's what I wanted to come in as, and I decided since Judson was paying a lot of my schooling, why not just double? And then I switched it to English. I love to read. I love to write. I have stacks of books that my parents want me to get rid of because they're just in the way. But yeah, that's why I chose art and English.
Okay. What subjects inspire you?
When it comes to art, I had just came in not really knowing what I wanted to emphasize in, and it wasn't until my junior year that I started doing painting classes and I fell in love. So I got into the oil painting, and that's what my whole show was oil paint on canvas. But I really fell in love with every medium. Like I've done painting, drawing, obviously. I did graphic design. I did ceramics, screen printing. I just really fell in love with all the mediums, but I just stuck with oil painting because that's what I mostly fell in love with.
I notice you have a great contrast in colors with your pieces. Like you go very bright and then you go very dark within the same pieces. You kind of all over the place, which is okay because it makes it look very dynamic. Why do you choose to do that?
So with this show, which was called This Is What Broken Feels Like, I didn't want it to just be about me, which is what the show is about me. I want it to include everybody, so that's why these pieces are so abstract in color. Just to kind of show that I'm incorporating anybody who's felt the way they felt, the way I felt through these pieces. So I used a lot of abstract colors to show that it's not just me, it's you guys, and I want you guys to know that you're not alone in what I had to feel and what I went through with the events that these pieces came out of.
Well, they're very powerful
Thank
pieces. Very,
you.
very strong. The one that showed today has the green stripe through the
Mhm.
eye. Now, why did you choose to put like such a dramatic strike? Because it looks kind of normal, and then there's this striking piece. Now, why
Mhm.
did you make that decision?
So for this first piece, foreign objects, I did that green, very weird. I called it extra terrestrial green, just because when I was before when this was happening, I wasn't
Mhm.
used to showing emotions. And a fun fact, all of these pieces, portrait bust pieces, are actual references from photos of me,
Mhm.
when I knew I was going through some really bad experiences. And these all came from, I knew I was having a bad time in a relationship, very
Mhm.
toxic. And that one picture I remember was the first time I had actually cried about what was going on. And with that piece was the first time I had actually cried about it. And
Ah,
I usually don't cry about things. And so I used that striking, just weird, off the wall green because it was just a foreign thing for me to cry about anything I was feeling, the bad things. I usually kept it all in. So that's why in that one, it's very normal, a normal abstract piece until you see that striking green strip of color.
mhm. It's very powerful. It's a very nice piece.
Thank you.
Let's see. So, can you describe a real life situation that inspired you?
So, like I said before in the last question, whole um, this whole series was about toxic relationships I was in, and through painting, I was able to express how I was feeling and what was happening to me, through those relationships. And it was really just a final goodbye, I forgive you, putting this aside now, putting it for everybody to see that I experienced. And also, I'm a huge I'm a very good listener when it comes to like my friends and anybody else who wants to talk to me about things. And so I wanted everybody. I didn't want it to just be about me. I wanted it to be about everybody and telling them that they're not alone with um, with things like this, like abuse or very toxic relationships that they are just putting a blind eye to, not listening to anybody. Um, but I mean, it just, as a whole, I would say a lot of my past relationships were very toxic and abusive. So that's really what this show came out of.
So it helped you.
It helped me a lot. Mm-hmm. And painting and writing has helped me a lot through a lot of things that's happened to me. So I just thought, why not? I just put it out there. I'm a pretty open person, so that helps a lot too. But this was a very difficult series to do. I
Mhm.
had a lot of late nights in Mead at Judson, just staring at them. And there's sometimes I would have to flip some over and be like, okay, I'll come back to you later. Just in case I can't even look at you, or I'll finish one and I'll just have like relief, because I was like, I've done it, and I was strong enough to do something like this.
Well, it shows. They're very, very good.
Thank you.
Did you always want to be an artist?
No, when I was younger, obviously when you're a kid, you have that very first thing that you want to be. And then as you grow up, you kind of figure out what you want to do. So it wasn't until I'd say high school that I was like, okay, I think this is what I want to do, because in my high school we had these things called academies, and I was in the graphic design one, and that's really when I started getting into art a lot more. Of course, I was doodling a lot when I was younger, but high school really was when I started to get into the arts. And then when I had the opportunity to go to college, which I'd always wanted to go to college, I was like, okay, I'm going to get serious about this, get an art major or a bachelor's in art, and then continue on from there. And then I told myself, this is my dream, this is my passion, and why not chase after that instead of, maybe sitting at a 9 to 5 desk job that I don't want to do.
Mhm. Amazing. Now, can you tell us what got you to this point? I mean, there's a time whenever you were growing, you graduated, and you're going through all of this, but now you are to the point where you're about to really launch your career.
Mm-hmm.
So what, go for it.
No, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
So what got you here?
Here, well, now I've graduated, and I sadly didn't get into any of my grad schools first time around, but long time coming, but it's okay. I'm applying again. But now I'm just focusing on my skills, building my portfolio for grad schools, and I'm also working on the second part of this series, which is called oh my gosh, I've done forgot now. But it's just a brighter, more positive side to all of this.
Okay.
But that's what I'm doing. I've gotten myself a storage unit, and painting there. And it's a little bit harder because I have to get all the resources myself now. And also at Judson, we learned for painting how to build canvases, which was a huge kind of stress reliever. It's something I could go do, pop my headphones in, and literally build a frame and canvas for my paintings. And now I have to go buy them and go paint. But it's still a stress reliever. I mean, that's one thing I love about painting for me, is that it helps me when I need to get away from everything. So I'll just go to my storage unit, work on the pieces I'm doing for this next series, and working on things for my grad school application.
So, what was the process of getting the storage unit exactly? I mean, other artists are going to be watching this and listening to this, and they're going to be in the exact same situation you are. So, why did you have certain requirements for your storage unit? Did somebody say, "Hey, go over to this place. This is better"? And then, as far as getting your art and getting the materials you need now that you graduated and you don't have a lot of things helpful or given to you, are provided for you like they did it while you were in school because it was part of your tuition, or they had those additional facilities. Can you talk about that experience, the transition between campus environment and your new I'm on my own and I've got to manage to make it environment?
So it's a little harder now that I'm by myself. Our art classes at Judson weren't that big to begin with, but obviously I had my other artists with me. I had my professor with me, so it helped a lot. But now I'm by myself, and so sometimes I just have to kick myself in the butt and be like, "Hey, you need to go and do your art." But I chose to do a storage unit just because I'm new to the area. I live in Texas now, so I don't have a lot of art friends here. I haven't made a lot of connections yet. So I decided to do a storage unit because I thought it'd be the easiest thing to do. It's probably the cheapest than renting out a space in a building, which probably would go over $1,000 or something like that, maybe 800, just the higher hundred range, which I don't have. So a storage unit, which only runs me about $50. I have a 10 by 10 storage unit, which is climate controlled, just to help with oil paints. If it gets humid, it's going to take a lot longer to dry. So with this climate control, it's easier, it's cooler in there, so they'll dry a lot faster. I can start one thing and then come back the next day and it'll practically be dry. But since I'm on such a low budget, a storage unit just helped a lot. Now my storage unit doesn't have outlets, so I did have to go on Amazon and buy a cordless power bank for my lights. It also doesn't have running water, so I have buckets in my storage unit with water and to clean my brushes and all that. So I just come back home once the buckets get dirty and just filter them out. It's not that big deal to me. A little hard work, it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really all I have for the storage unit. What was the other part of your question?
What is the difference between the experience? Like you had everything provided for you like at school and then now you're on your own. So are you what is something that you have to buy now that you didn't have to buy before?
So I have to, it's literally everything. I buy my own canvas now, paints, brushes, anything else like gesso. Well, I don't really need gesso, but paint thinner, things like that. I just, you just pretty much have to buy everything on your own.
Mhm.
And I was lucky enough to have most of my pieces from my show sell. So I kind of had a kickstart with purchasing all of my materials. And then I have a little bit of help, Sometimes I have friends and family who are like, hey, I just want to see what you're doing. Here's some money so you can like kind of kickstart what you're doing. So it helps a lot. But really, like adult life after college, it's a little difficult to jumpstart everything.
Mhm. That's amazing though. But you're doing it and that's what's
I
great.
am. Hmm.
So, and that's fabulous. Okay, let's see. What artist are you most influenced by?
So we had to take art history and for our major. It's a part of the major, and I fell in love. I absolutely love art history. That's something I'd want to do in grad school. And I was huge into the Italian Renaissance and Baroque period, which I think a lot of people would too. But a huge influence was Caravaggio. He had some really amazing works where he would use a light just coming from out of nowhere onto his pieces, which really influenced me, which you really can't see in my these pieces that we're showing this week. But he was a huge influence in kind of jump starting, oh, maybe one day I'll be as famous as him and
Mhm.
something like that. But there's modern artists like Sue Sai. She's based in California right now, I think, and she's just a huge influence to me when it comes to like modern art and telling myself my things don't have to look like Renaissance paintings, Baroque paintings, just 18th century things. They can be modern and they can be successful.
Mhm. I can see the busts and things like you like to do the like like the busts of people, the
Hmm.
heads and the shoulders. So I
Hmm.
can kind of see that style. I can also see like the light behind with the piece with the orange background. That piece is going to be showing on Wednesday,
Hmm.
and it has the orange back of it, and it really brings that character forward. So I can
Hmm.
definitely see the influence.
A lot of these paintings actually have background on top of the person, on top of the bust, which you can see a lot in the orange one that you're looking at. And that's just to show a little bit of depth in the painting.
Mhm.
Um, I decided to kind of bring some background into the foreground just to kind of show the depth of the feelings in
Mhm.
those paintings. So,
Yeah, and these pieces will be showing later on this week, so people are more than welcome to see them. And then after the show, if people want to see them, they can just visit USA Libraries Art Galleries at facebook.com or at our YouTube site or our, not YouTube site, but our Twitch, not Twitch, good Lord, we have a bunch, at our Instagram and at our Twitter page. So you're more than welcome to see these pieces, and also her contact information is where these pieces are located. Okay. Emma, I have more questions, but do you have any questions or anything you're curious about?
Um, as an artist, I tend to find oil painting to be one of the harder mediums, um, up there with watercolor, honestly. So, since you chose oil, what stood out about oil painting,
so
the other
oil
forms?
painting was the only form that we used at Judson,
Mhm.
but I would say that when I started the class, I think there was about 5 of us, 4 or 5 of us in that class, and it seemed like oil painting really stuck with me and was the easiest for some reason. It's just like it was a natural thing. So we started, and I just wasn't having any problems with it really. I was experimenting with it, putting paint thinner in it, more paint thinner than you would usually in there, and make washes to make it look like watercolor. Sometimes I wouldn't even put a lot of paint thinner in it to make it look like acrylic. So I was really experimenting, and that's the great thing about oil paints is that you can water it, water it down so much to make it like watercolor, or you can not put any paint thinner in at all to make it acrylic. And to me, it's just, I like oil paint because it's so pliable and easy. It's easy to work with, but it really helped with my patience too, because I used to not be very patient. And then with oil painting, it's helped a lot because, you know, you can only put so much on your canvas until your colors start muddying up and you just have to work on something new. And that's another great thing about oil painting is that you can have multiple projects going at the same time just because you're waiting on another painting to dry. So that's why I've stuck with oil paints, and it's my favorite, honestly.
Okay.
Very cool. Okay. Now, Chasely, what role does the artist have in today's society?
I think really it's just to bring joy to somebody and history. To me, art shows that things about history that you can't see on paper. I see a lot of pieces that have to do with a lot of biblical history, war, just history around like geographical history, history around the world. So I think it really helps when it comes to showcasing different views of what's happening in the world, but also just to slow down time. Some people like me, I like to go to museums and I could be there for hours or not really hours, I can be there for like, let's say an hour, and it felt like I was there for 3. So I really think art helps people just slow down, especially with the fast pace of how the world is today. And it just gives a different view for people. You can read things and see them in your head, but let's say somebody painted what you read or drew what you read, and it's just a different sense that you can just see it and instead of visualizing in your head, you actually see what somebody else did. And also just seeing different interpretations of things. I just think that art for the world just helps people, honestly. I mean, it helps me a lot with what's happened to me and helps me express myself. So to me, that's what art is about for the world.
Very nice. Okay, let's see. How long does it take to complete a painting?
It depends on the size. My largest painting is, which they'll see later in the week, I think the last day, was 5.5 in length and feet, and then 1.5 in height. And that one probably took me, both of them probably took me about 2.5 weeks. But I'd say the time frame would be, if I'm really on it, would be 2.5, 3 weeks to finish a painting, just because I'm a perfectionist as well. And I'll see something and I'm like, I have to fix it. And if it just isn't perfect, then I'll just keep working.
Yeah, those 2 paintings will be showing together on Friday. I think one's already sold and the other one's the brighter or the darker one? I couldn't remember.
It's the brighter one that hasn't sold yet.
Okay. Yeah, they're both very good. I can't wait for everybody to see it. They're going to thoroughly enjoy it. Let's see. What themes do you pursue?
This is my senior show is obviously my first series I've ever done. And I wanted to do something that helped me get over things that's happened to me in the past. And I'm a huge person on, just let things go because you need to move forward. So a lot of my themes that I've thought of really come from personal experience. I use my personal experience to drive me to create, this next series is just about me moving forward and what I've done to, you know, be more positive and happy in my life. So that's what the next series is about. This series was obviously about my past and helped me let go. So my themes are just really personal. I bring them out of personal experiences.
What colors are you using in your upcoming series? Are they the same bright greens and oranges and strong contrast? Are they muted? Are they brighter? Or
This next series is going to be a lot more happy tones, brighter. There's not going to be a lot of darks in there just because of the theme of this one. I mean, there's going to be a couple pieces where I'll probably go back to the dark just because, you know, when you're growing, sometimes you have setbacks, and I want to showcase that in this series as well. But for the most part, you're going to see a lot of yellows, oranges, brighter blues. I don't like using pink, but there's going to be a couple ones with pink in there.
mm-hmm.
So just a lot more brighter, happier tones, just to have more positive vibe than what this show had.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So a lot of your work is very personal and deals with your personal thoughts and feelings and a lot of emotion. And I remember you saying earlier in the show that you were hoping others could relate to that emotion. Would you say mental health or mental awareness is a theme in your pieces?
It was a huge part of it. Just because I knew I was extremely depressed when all this was happening. Not my painting, like when I was painting it, but back in the past. So mental health is a huge, maybe more underlining, just because I was focusing more on the physical. But when I had my show, I had a lot of people who were dealing with mental health come up to me and just thank me for what I've done and showcase my feelings and what I had to go through, and being so open, which, you know, a lot of people don't like being very open about things like that. So I had a lot of people come up to me and just, you know, thank me and hug me and things like that, because they don't know, or they didn't really know how to showcase their own, and to have somebody showcase what they had going on helped them a lot.
Okay.
Okay. How do you know when a painting is done?
That's a really hard question because really a painting is never done to me. And when I was studying an undergrad, my professor would say, you know, this is the grade you get, but a painting's never done. You could improve it. You know, you can get the feedback from your peers, and you could. A lot of times we do our peer reviews, and people have things to say. We'd write everything down, what they said. A lot of times, if it's not a negative, but more of a feedback kind of comment, I'd usually put an X next to it so I could go back, look at the painting once I've gotten my grade, and if I want to fix it, I can. If not, I won't. But to me, a painting's never finished. Like, I could have gone back in some of these and fixed some things. But for me, I think a painting's done, is when I think that it's fully expressed what I want it to express. There's nothing else I could do. There's not another color I could put in there. Not another little detail. It's just to me when it's picture perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I don't ever think a painting is done. There's always something you probably could do to something, a painting, and then it make it look better. It might make it look worse, and you just have to fix it back to where it needs to be. But yeah, so I just think that paintings are still always a work in progress, but there is a point that you can get to that it's finished.
Emma, do you have any more questions?
No, I think I've had all my questions answered.
Okay. All right, well then I have one final one for you.
Mm-hmm.
We are a university at the University of South Alabama, and we have a number of students who are in art and other various programs. What is a piece of advice or something you would like to tell students who are currently at the university? Just anything you feel like telling them in regards to anything you feel like.
Mine would be to stay on task and be organized. It's very important as an artist to be organized, and obviously you're at a university, a school, you're going to have due dates. So just make sure you plan ahead of what you're going to do. I had a planner that I carried with me all around, and each day I had what I was going to do that day for my art classes or any class, honestly. But just stay on task is a big one, and have fun. Do, whether you're painting, sculpting, pottery, screen printing, even film, even though that's what we didn't have that in Judson, but whatever you guys have at South Alabama or any university, honestly, do subjects that you have fun with and that you're going to want to do forever. Pick your passions and be positive. I did a very, very sad and heartfelt subject, and if that's something you want to do, just make sure you have a support group around you that you can call. Like, I have a best friend, and I'd call her at 2 a.m. just crying, telling her that I don't think I could do this, but just believe in yourself, be positive. If things don't go right, it'll fix itself. But just stay on task, have fun, do what you love. And that's what I told myself my 4 years in undergrad, and however long I'll be in grad school. That's what I'm going to tell myself, is just do what I love, and just stay happy, stay positive, take time to yourself, things like that.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Chasely, for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, would you like to share with everyone how to get in touch with you in case they're interested in a painting or a commission or anything like that?
So my email is Chasely98, Chasely, if you didn't know how to spell that, 98@gmail.com is my email. You can also find me on Facebook, Chasely Matmanivong. If you need to text me or call me, I'm open. My phone number is 682-262-6987. But I'm always open. I'm always on my computer, always on my phone, so I'll get emails. My Instagram is chase.ly. I also have a art profile, which is arts.by.her. So I'm always open for questions if you need help or anything. If you want commissions for any of my pieces, I do have some pieces that are still for sale, originals that are for sale from my old series. If you want to see pictures of those, if they're not in this week's show. And also I'll have prints pretty soon, if anything. So if anybody wants prints, just let me know. But I think I did give prices for some of these pieces to you, didn't I? That are still for sale?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think I gave you print and originals. So
yeah.
And I'm very
so the shows this week
flexible.
will have that.
Yeah, I'm very flexible about payments. I have a couple people who are doing installments, so if a price seems too large for you, do not worry, because I'm super flexible and you can pay me in monthly payments and things like that. But that's how you get in touch with me. I'm always open.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. We appreciate you spending time with us today.
Thank you for the time.
And this video will be uploaded to YouTube by tomorrow, so everybody will get a chance to see everything. If that's it, we're good to go. Thank y'all so much for joining us, and have a wonderful day.